to con artist. John D. Rockefeller, the big patriarch of the Rockefeller family, 150-something years ago when he got going, his father, talk about a devilish-looking guy with this big beard. You can pull up the Rockefeller family history online, look at him. He was a snake oil salesman that made a whole bunch of money selling opium as a cure-all in bottles. And then he was the first snake oil salesman to not just send out a wagon himself and go town to town. He thought, I'll franchise this. I'll have warehouses all over the East and the West as the railroads expanded. And he thought of branding and banners and the name of his company. And he sent out thousands of wagons on the trains to go to even the smallest towns selling snake oil. And they made tens of millions of dollars in 1840s, 50s, and 60s money. And then when he died, he gave John D. every centella of it. And John D. struck oil and created a monopoly over that with Standard Oil. And John D. then hired Pinkerton Security to go out to small towns where people set up gold mines, and they would walk in, blow the sheriff's head off, kill the mayor, burn the town down, and bring in different mercenary forces. Now, that's who set up the New World Order. They sent out wagons with opium, and they got everybody addicted to drugs, and they got filthy rich off that, and then they went out and took the gold mines and took the coal mines, and they went out at gunpoint and took the silver mines, and they went out and took over the oil fields, and they rule this planet with the Queen of England and the Rothschilds, period. Because John D.'s daddy, I forget his name. Do me a favor, pull up John D. Rockefeller, the first father. It'll pull up, I forget his name. John D. Rockefeller's father, I forget his name. When we go live at prisonplanet.tv next hour, we'll have that and have his name for it. The name escapes me at the time. But that's the history of it. I've studied it, read several books on it. And it's on the Rockefeller's own family website. I've got a PBS documentary about the Rockefellers made 15 years ago or so. I guess early 90s, more than that now. And they just brag about the whole thing and all the famous cases. You ever seen that Clint Eastwood movie? It's not High Plains Drifter, but it's a similar one. It's the one where he goes into the little town and the local gold mining company brings in the regulators to start killing all the gold miners who won't hand over their land. That is based on a whole bunch of true stories. They did that in Oklahoma and Colorado. They did that in Texas. They did that in California. And they just walk right up to little kids and put a gun right to their head. In a famous case in Colorado that happened in the last century, they came into a gold mining town, rode down the families, burned it down, shot little kids in the back, killed hundreds. There's just too many cases of this. And that's all they are. They're snake oil salesmen that took that money and learned how to create monopolies and learned how to hire mercenaries. And what are they doing today with the mercenaries, with Blackwater and all the rest of these companies? What are they doing to our nation? What have they turned us into? They own the private prisons. They own the banks that launder the drug money. They control the conduits that ship the drugs in. They own it and run it and dominate it all. And if you look at David Rockefeller, he has funded hundreds of groups calling for world government. He makes George Soros look like a small-time amateur at running groups, and Soros funds hundreds of groups on record, billions and billions a year. And this is how they dominate our planet. This is how they operate. This is how they get their job done.